Alright, hey everybody, Yullbrenna here with another Ability Arena gameplay video, and this time we're going to be playing the newly buffed Dazzle. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
So what's your name? Yullbrenna.
Fresh meat!
Alright, so like I said, we're going to be playing Dazzle. Dazzle is a hero that really isn't played by many people that much. It kind of seems like a bit of a boring hero, which I think can be a little understandable, but in this one I'm going to try to show that it's actually kind of a fun god to play, and with the buffs could be pretty good to play when ranking up. So what does Dazzle do? Of course, the first one is it casts Shallow Grave on the first ally to fall below 20% health, and then it's all based on shop level. So at max shop for 4 seconds, and then it's going to heal. And then also Cheating Death. So Cheating Death, it's going to, instead of dying, say if you're losing health, you'll actually fall to 1 HP. And then, but if you win the next round, that Cheating Death will get reset. So theoretically, you could win, lose, and you never get knocked out. So I think this strategy is pretty helpful in high rank lobbies where sometimes it's just a positioning thing and you're alternating positioning with another player and you find yourself alternating. Well, if they don't have Cheating Death, you'll eventually beat them. So I think that's the buff that got changed, where that Cheating Death resets, and could make Dazzle a little bit more competitive. This is especially the case, if you think you're just, let's say a round or two away from getting spells, it's going to be that much more competitive. So pretty fun. And then of course the Shallow Grave portion is really helpful if, in the high ranked lobbies, a lot of people have backline jumpers, try to instantly delete a hero on your backline. Now you have Dazzle saving that, very similar to a False Promise. So, in those games where maybe False Promise isn't there, or you see a lot of backline jumping abilities, maybe it's a good time to play Dazzle. So right now, I'm kind of going for an Overpower route, and I'm going to combine that with Essence Shift and the Fury Swipes. Pretty good combo. I picked up Arcane Bolt. Arcane Bolt is actually a pretty good early game spell. It uses a certain amount of mana, and you can get it off like 2 or 3 times, and it hits pretty hard in the early game. So it's a spell I like to use. But now as we get in towards the later game, I'm going to be turning TA into kind of one of my carries. So I'll go ahead and give her some attack speed. That pairs really well, Essence Shift and Fervor, and then of course Fury Swipes. So she's going to be doing a lot of damage. I know she is D tier. You can use her, you've seen in a lot of my past videos like this one, where she turns into just an attack range monster with like things like Little Shredder and Take Aim. I haven't seen Take Aim, so I might put that in, but if you wait her innate, that gives the bonus attack range. After about 20 rounds, she's going to have the same attack range as Lina. So Lina is obviously a great carry due to the attack range and her stat gain. So if you just wait 20 rounds, eventually TA will be there on that attack range buff. So I think it's a good unit to have if you're going to take advantage of that. So in addition, when I have the Dazzle buff, I'm also going to want to have Cold Embrace, so the unit, if it gets down to below 20% health, it gets the save on them, and then I can put Cold Embrace, I can put press the attack to try to heal them back up so that they don't die once the Shallow Grave comes off. So that's the reason for some of my heals, and you'll want to have those in there so that the unit can survive from the Shallow Grave. So here you can see there's that back line, but the Juggernaut doesn't manage to kill. But you can already see there's a backline jumper there, and the Shallow Grave works out pretty well. I get off Cold Embrace, I get off my press the attack, and it's no problem. For my front line, I have the Burrow Strike. I'm not sure if there's really Ravage or any big time initiation. Burrow Strike gets off really fast, so it's one of those spells you'll put first immediately, and it'll get off stun very quickly. So all those heals, you saw Cold Embrace, you saw Press the Attack, the Frost Shield. Totally missed purchase right there. That was my bad. I was looking at the fight, forgot about that, but you saw all those heals work out really well. My front line is actually pretty tanky, all things considered. And so for my next thing, I'm going to have the prolonged fights, like I said, with a lot of these heals. So I'm going to bring in probably a summons build for my next one. And then I also am grabbing Rebound. Rebound is one of those spells that's honestly pretty terrible early on, but once it gets to super, it becomes a game changer. You'll be able to get to the back line. So the plan is to get Rebound to super and have someone to get on the back line, because right now I don't have much going to the back line unless Burrow Strike gets to super and gets that increased range. I'll go ahead. I've already got some tanky front line, and I'll have the Rebound unit, which will be front line. So I'm going to pick up Shadow Demon, and Shadow Demon will spawn the summons, and then just follow that up. Potentially have the Rebound with an Omnislash unit to get to the back line. Haven't decided yet on that one. And then there is Unleash, if I want to go Unleash or Overpower. Haven't really decided which one I want to do on that one. So I had a lot of spells on the bench with the summons. Hopefully that'll add a lot. I'm doing really well to start. Let's see if I can keep this going. You can see the TA is doing really well. Cleaning up quite nicely with the Fury swipes, with the Overpower. Not many people going Overpower. And then I've got my Chaos Knight in the front. I immediately do Burrow Strike before I turn into the Flesh Golem. Like I said, Burrow Strike can get off very quickly. It's a good spawn. So that's why I have it set up like that. See all the heals, Shallow Grave working out really well. Chaos Knight's pretty survivable. So now I've got it up to level 4, so this is the max duration of Shallow Grave. The only thing that it's lacking is now the heal. So the only reason you'd want to upgrade from 4 to 5 is to get that additional 250 health of heal. But whether that's beneficial is up to you. I think that's a little helpful so that the unit doesn't die immediately, say if it's getting jumped. So I think it's a good idea to upgrade all the way to level 5. So there was a good example. I mean, Chaos Knight stayed alive for so long there. Very difficult to take down. And it just allows my TA and my Shadow Demon with all its summons to do what they want to do. On a huge winning streak right now. It could get, later in the game if I get down to that 1 health, maybe we'll see the cheating death and see that into play. But for right now, we're just showing the power of the Shallow Grave. So there it is. Very, very similar to a False Promise, just taking a lot of damage and a lot of time and a lot of spells away from my opponent. And my other units are able to clean up here. And TA doing really well right now. So I did find some take aim. Whether I want to put that on TA is a different story. I like Chemical Rage. Maybe if I could buff up the Chemical Rage all the way, put it on the Mars. And I like the Overpower mixed with Essence Shift, Fury Swipes, causing a lot of damage and a lot of good attack speed. So we'll see if take aim actually can fit in at this moment, or I just wait it out and eventually TA will have that range. and still cleaning up pretty well here. Even with TA getting jumped, the overpowered Fury Swipes, it's proving a little bit too much. TA is pretty hard to get jumped right now. Plus, I'm not too worried about it because I do have the Shallow Grave if it's necessary. Although I would like the Shallow Grave to get hit on the Chaos Knight or my front line just to distract them a lot more. But I've got it just in case. Rebound not showing up a little bit, and honestly at the lower levels, rebound is pretty terrible. You can see it doesn't provide much. Ours isn't getting that far. We've got nobody getting to the backline. This guy's got a lot of backline, and the Shallow Grave come up huge. So I get the Cold Embrace off. I got the heals off. Let's see if I can actually stay alive here. Oh my gosh, TA does it with the Chemical Rage heals. That was huge. So you can see right there, that was a perfect example of, you know, a unit getting chronoed. Doesn't have the ability to get Cold Embrace, press the attack off, but the Shallow Grave is going to get off regardless. And so they just wasted all of their time attacking me. And yeah, I was able to withstand it. My backline just can't get jumped. So one of the good benefits, and like I said, in higher lobbies when backline jumpers are key, this god perfectly counters that. Looking like I might lose for the first time in a bit. Bit unfortunate there. It is really when a Bloodseeker god will thrive. So you can see the winning streak is not surprising. This mid game, but potentially in the late game with all the burst damage, I'm hoping that I'll be able to beat that no problem. And I get the reflection damage with the Shallow Grave. I'm going to be surviving a lot longer, so might as well get some reflection damage in there. And finally finding a lot of good spells. Really need to get Rebound to super. Like I said, it's uncontested, but it just has not been showing up. But I need to get to the back line, especially for that Bloodseeker build. Back to winning ways, not too threatened in that build. And finding a good amount of my spells. Double Edge to super is a really nice one. Of course, for the additional damage strength gain. You can see that Shallow Grave keeping Shadow Demon alive for so long. And I was managed to heal up as well. That was big. Big example of Shallow Grave working out really well. So I'm liking this buff so far. It's kind of simple, but it's really doing a lot of work. And got to be frustrating for my opponents when they're about to kill somebody. And just 4 seconds, not dying, gets a heal off, and keeps attacking and doing damage. So really like what I'm seeing so far from this guy. Knocking out another opponent, and we're officially into the top 4 here. So this is kind of when I start looking at opponents, seeing what everybody else is doing. Keeping a couple spells at level 3. Frost Shield is pretty contested. I don't mind going for it, but I'm just going to keep it at level 3. I've got other spells that I need to go for a little bit more. Here's this Bloodseeker build. Let's see if I can beat him. I think I lost him last time. There's the Shallow Grave. Let's see if I can survive. And I do. And get more heals off. Let's see if I can take down the Bloodseeker unit. Fury Swipes should be able to just do the damage. So Fury Swipes coming up big on that one. Probably need some stuns or some Fury Swipes. to take down that. So I think Fury Swipes is working out really well, and there's not a lot of stuns in this game like Bash, so gotta rely on that. Spirit Bear getting up to super. If I can get that to Gaben, that's big. It gets Bash, it gets Mjolnir, and it's just a real problem. An underrated spell that I don't think a lot of people pick up, Spirit Bear, but it's a good one to get, even just throwing it on a random unit. It's going to be pretty helpful early game and late game. I get jumped here. TA getting healed, kind of surviving, but there's just too much. So one of my next losses, getting overpower to Gaben, so I'm getting more attacks, and now I get a bash on top of it. So that's going to be big against the Bloodseeker build. Pretty much a counter to them as well, and then anybody that tries to jump me on the back line. So I really like that. I don't go overpower too often, but that bash at level 9 when there's no bash to the deep in there is a big game changer. And so I really like where that is, and it should counter some. So really, I got countered by that backline jumper. There just wasn't enough heal, so I do think next time I face them, I'm going to have to switch up my positioning. So I obviously won't face them twice in a row, but I'll face them up, switch it up next time. You also see I got rebound to super, so Mars immediately goes into the back line, causes a lot of chaos, and I'm able to create a lot more space for my units. I don't need to go rebound past super. I'm not really doing like an Omni Slash build or anything like that, so I'm going to keep rebound just at super. But I am going to switch up the overcharge, so that overcharge is going to be cast onto the TA, and then Mars will go into the backline. I get Summon Spirit Bear again, talked about this to the Gaben, so I'll get Mjolnir, I'll get Mask of Madness, and the Skull Basher. And here's the switch up on the positioning to avoid that void, the Faceless Void. And I do face them, so let's see if this positioning worked. So the Shallow Grave goes off, I get a Cold Embrace off too, and then the Bash as well. So that positioning made all the difference. He spent so much time trying to kill my backline. I didn't get anything for it. So big time win there, and I even knock him out of the lobby. So I'm not too worried about positioning anymore, because that was one of the only people getting to my backline consistently and causing a threat. Double Edge to Gaben, one of the most fun Gabens to get, and so I'm getting that additional regen with Flesh Golem. I'm going to be doing a lot of damage. I can get Burrow Strike up to super, so I'm getting to the backline even better. So really like that Chaos Knight one. I do want to target the Bloodseeker unit, so I'm going to target that Shadow Fiend again, so I'll probably move back my positioning a little bit. And Mars should be able to jump to that Bloodseeker unit, maybe kill it. We'll see. I'm not facing it this round, but maybe next round. A lot of time being spent trying to kill my front line, the Shallow Grave, and this guy just can't kill any of my frontline units right now. With the Shallow Grave, press the attack, Cold Embrace, they're really struggling. Mjolnir, I'm attacking pretty fast with TA, so I think that's kind of a no-brainer. There's not a lot of summons builds, but the additional damage should work out really nicely, and additional attack speed. Almost there on a few spells here, and now I'm going to be placing this Bloodseeker build. Let's see if the positioning worked. Didn't quite kill him, but I'm keeping the Bloodseeker unit pretty occupied with Cold Embrace and the Shallow Grave. And there's the stun from Overpower, so completely countering him, and he's out of the game. So even if he had, you know, Rage or something to block spells, there was just no way he was going to keep up with TA. So really good counter, and now it's just down to this other opponent. Getting overcharged to Gaben, so Mars is going to be really tanky and providing that attack speed for TA, and then I get press the attack for more spell immunity, so I'm going to have a really tanky lineup, a lot of heals, There's no Ice Blast in play, I'm pretty sure. So my team's going to be attacking really fast with TA. Mars getting into the back line, really survivable. I've got the Frost Shield, I've got Press the Attack, Cold Embrace. It's going to be pretty tough for this guy to take, to get through my front line here. See how this goes. And yeah, absolutely, it's just too tough for him. The one thing, you know, his Night Stalker does have, you can see he's not too thrilled about that. The Night Stalker does have the counter helix and I think like reactive armor, so he's clearly taking out my summons, but the Spirit Bear was still surviving, still providing stuns. So maybe he counters my summons build, but still get the stun off with Chaotic Offering, and again, TA is doing crazy work. Should be able to finish this off. Not going to adjust positioning. Yeah, super tanky. I get the Shallow Grave off. Mars is still alive with Press the Attack. And yeah, look at that. Just a super tanky lineup. A lot of fun. I think the Shallow Grave, super underrated. Dazzle, maybe super underrated as a god as well. Hope you enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.